Good morning, everybody. This is Michelle Glover with Batter and Bowl Bakery. This morning, I wanted to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to prepare when you have several pound cakes that you need to complete for a holiday season, for an event. You can pre-measure and pre-prep a lot of your ingredients so that when it's time to make, you can just pull out what you need, mix it, and get those cakes in the oven. So what I want to show you is what I typically prepare for with my pound cakes so that I'm able to move forward pretty quickly. Excuse me. Now, to start with, most pound cakes, unless you're making a specific flavor like chocolate or red velvet or orange, something where you know your flavors, your colors would be definitely defined in those cakes. Most pound cakes start with the same ingredients: butter, sugar, flour, salt, baking soda. So when you know you have those basic ingredients, then you can go ahead and pre-prep by measuring those things out, and then you don't have to worry about trying to do that. And it really does save you a lot of time when you're trying to get several of them done. So today I'm going to show you what I would do for a typical vanilla pound cake. I would use the same thing for a lemon or even a strawberry. So I'm going to show you what we do in measuring those things out, and I hope that you can find this tip to be very helpful for you. So we're going to start with first, what are your basic ingredients? So in this bowl, I have my all-purpose flour here. Of course, a measuring cup, your measuring spoons. I have salt, baking soda there, and of course, my handy-dandy Ziploc bag. So I'm going to start this out by opening my bag. Now, I'm going based on a pound cake recipe that I've used for years. So I'm just going to start with that. So we know that for this pound cake recipe, you're going to need 3 cups of all-purpose flour. So I'm going to dip in here and get those 3 cups here. We're just going to measure that out there. And I'm going to put it in the bag. And I get questions all the time: should I sift before or should I sift afterwards? For me, you can do it either way that you want, but for me, I typically like to sift my flours right before I bake. So that is your 3 cups of all-purpose flour. You're going to need a teaspoon of salt. If I can get it here. You measure that out. And I also put that in the bag. You need a half a teaspoon of baking soda. Same thing. Measure it out. Put it in the bag. Okay. Now the other ingredients that you also have to a basic pound cake, of course, are your sugar and your butter. I don't typically mix sugar in my bags because for those of you who do pound cakes, you know, for the most part, or any cake, you cream the sugar and the butter in your bowl before you actually mix all the other ingredients. So I don't put sugar in these bags, but this is what I do typically. I put the flour, the salt, the baking soda in the bag. If you have any other type of dry ingredients that you know you would need, specifically like dried strawberries or dried peaches, if you know what those are, you can also put them in the bag as well. What I typically do is seal these. I would label the bag vanilla or lemon or whatever you're going to use it for, and you can store these in a cool, dry place. I would not do this until 2 weeks before what you're needing, because you don't, you're dealing with flour, you're dealing with baking soda and salt, and they do work together to hold your cake together. So I would not make these months and months in advance. I think it would change the potency of your ingredients. The max I would do is 2 weeks in advance, but you can store them in your pantry. Once they're labeled, you can pull one out and you can start your baking process. Now for me, again, I typically don't like to sift my flours and things like that until I am actually going to bake that day, because I could easily sift this. But if I have 30 of these and I need to stack them on top of each other and that type of thing, you're condensing your flour again. There are air bubbles. There are all kinds of things that could get in this flour bag. So what I would do is put all of your ingredients together, measure them out really well, and then when it's time to bake, that's when I would do the sifting. And then that way you can ensure that, you kind of awaken your ingredients again, mix them all together, put them in your pound cake pan, and then it should rise and bake just as you design. So that's just a quick tip that I use for my pound cakes. Now, another thing I wanted to bring up as well are the kind of pans that I use. So these are, let me move this out the way. These are Nordic ware pans. You can find them on Amazon. I'll also put these in the list of supplies that we use for our cake decorating, but I love these. I've used these for years. They're very tough, easy to clean. They hold heat very well, and they bake really well evenly. They evenly bake your cakes very well, and they store well. So I'll put that on the supply list as well. One of the other things I use is the PAM baking spray. And I'll tell you this, I will use PAM baking spray for my layer cakes. I'll use them in cobblers and little things like that. I don't typically use PAM sprays or Baker's Joy for my pound cakes, because you have so much of ingredients going into your pound cake. I found that, pound cakes are a heavy cake. They're heavy cakes. And so for me, I found that using a typical Crisco oil and regular flour to coat your pans has been a better choice when it comes to baking your pound cakes. But I've also used PAM as well, and they will come out just as lovely and just as pretty. But I have found that I have less risk of cakes sticking to the pan or not baking evenly. I have less risk of that when you just go back to the basics of oil and flour. So I hope that this tip helped you guys today. If you have any questions about certain pound cakes or certain things that I use, feel free to leave your questions in the comments, and I will return and answer them as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much. I hope these tips are working. It works for me, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.